Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name's Karen Whalen, and I'm the Executive Director of Active Aging in Manitoba. We're a not-for-profit provincial organization, and we're dedicated to promoting active aging opportunities for all older Manitobans, inspiring people to have healthy lifestyles. And this presentation that will be facilitated today by Wes Pomeranski will do just that. He's facilitating a webinar on healthy living for older adults, the importance of measuring your fitness. Now, you may have questions as Wes is going along, but to keep things running smoothly, we ask that you use the question or the chat feature on your Zoom platform and put your questions in the box there, and then we'll tackle questions, and we'll do questions and answers at the end of Wes's presentation, just to keep with the flow of the entire webinar. I'd like to acknowledge that we live and work on Treaty 1 territory, the homeland of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Dakota, Dene, and Oji-Cree peoples, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. Therefore, we approach our work with humility and hope to contribute to an agenda of reconciliation. We're so glad that you're taking time out of your day and joining us for this webinar. And I'm going to pass things over to Wes, and he's going to introduce himself and tell you a bit about his background. So, Wes, away you go.
Awesome. Thank you for the introduction, Karen. So welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining in. I'm pretty excited about this one. This is a topic that I really care about and enjoy. So I hope I can pass on some of that enthusiasm and end this webinar with giving you all some goals to strive for, either to achieve or to maintain for as long as you can. So I'm just going to start, as Karen mentioned, just giving a little bit of background about myself. So I've been involved with the Wellness Institute in some capacity for over 10 years, coming up on 11 years as we get closer to spring and summer of 2023. I have a background in kinesiology. So I studied at the University of Winnipeg. I have a Bachelor of Arts in Kinesiology, and I'm currently certified through the Canadian Society of Exercise Physiology, which is the main governing body for our profession in Canada. I'm a certified exercise physiologist. So those are kind of my main professional designations. I started at the Wellness Institute as a wellness consultant, so helping our members try to achieve their goals, working with them in assessments, out in the gym floor. In about early 2018, I moved on and became a bigger part of the chronic disease programs that we offer at the Wellness Institute. Since 2018, I've done a one-year term as the manager of coaching services, where I kind of helped the team that was involved in personal training, group training, nutrition, things like that. And I'm currently serving on a one-year term as the manager of health and fitness for the Wellness Institute. So that's where my current role is right now, and a little bit about the history of myself. In terms of my, just kind of brief aside on my goals and interests, I always like to say I'm training for two things, and that's sport and life. I'm extremely passionate about sports. I was a big part of the baseball community for a long time. I was lucky enough to play a year of college baseball for the University of Winnipeg. Now that I've kind of retired, I live and breathe for tennis and golf all through summer. So I'm always looking to do things that help me improve at that. And again, and just for life as well. I always love to talk about health span and lifespan. And my goal is to maximize health span. And when we refer to that, what we mean is that we want our health to match our lifespan. We want to spend as little time as we can with not so good health. So we want to maximize the time frame from which we can, again, thrive, as one of the themes of today's webinar is. We want to be able to not only be healthy, but physically active and thrive for as long as we can, so we can get as much as we can. Just to start the webinar, we wanted to definitely acknowledge that there are many components to thriving as we age. And this is just a short list. This is not meant to be catch all, but having a sense of purpose or having good emotional health and social supports, remaining cognitively active. Of course, these are things that are essential to healthy living. These are definitely important. And again, we definitely don't want to ignore or pretend that we're ignoring those things. But today, again, seeing as physical fitness is sort of my wheelhouse and my specialty, today's webinar is specifically focusing on physical qualities that, as we mentioned earlier, we want to maintain optimal function for as long as we can. So again, the goal here is to try to be as best as we can and thrive and yeah, be the best person we can be. This first image here may look a little bit confusing, but it's fairly straightforward. If we look on the outside, we have a bunch of different fitness qualities that we talk about in our industry. So these are all sorts of things that we want to incorporate into our exercise and physical fitness and keep all these qualities at a high standard. So some of them are typically what we think of when we think of fitness. So something like aerobic capacity is your ability to do cardiovascular activity for an extended period of time. You know, strength, we all know balance, range of motion, coordination, again, anaerobic capacity, which is a little bit different. We don't have to necessarily get into the specifics of all of these right now, but the idea is there are many different facets that it comes to when we consider the word fitness. And truly, it's really the sum of all of these that make us function as optimally as we can. All are important. What this tries to show is that if we are lacking in one area, it could hold back another area. This is just a hypothetical example here, but we have this kind of web graph where if you kind of see these gray lines, we have a small one in the middle, and these gray lines continue going outward towards the edge of the circle. So this blue bar is an example. This is saying for each of these qualities, we're kind of closer to the middle, whereas the red bar is saying all of these qualities are closer to the outside, or we are better at them. And the point of this is that all these qualities, as we'll learn soon, we are able to improve no matter what our age. There's nothing holding us back that says we can't improve these qualities. Research shows that we can get better at all of these at any age, no matter when we start, no matter what we've done or not done in the past. So again, it's really emphasizing the sum of all these things. When it comes to certain measures that we know correlate strongly with health or risk of disease, a few of these have been studied a little closer than others. So I'm going to start by doing just a brief introduction on which of these measures we know correlate strongly. And then once I kind of explain those, hopefully that gives everyone some background of why we consider these important. And then from that point, we can kind of get to the challenges that we're going to present today that help us ensure we do maintain all of these qualities to the best of our degree. So the first thing I'm going to share here is just a position stand from the American College of Sports Medicine. So this is one of the preeminent organizations when it comes to fitness and health. And the American College of Sports Medicine has a position stand specifically when it comes to exercise and physical activity for older adults. So I just, again, wanted to highlight this. This is a comprehensive report that is based on all the existing research when it comes, again, specifically to older adults and exercise and physical activity. It's a very long document. It's probably only fun for industry nerds like myself to read, but I wanted to highlight two specific position stands and evidence statements because they really go to show, again, hopefully my belief that we can all get better no matter what, and that anybody can improve no matter what their exercise history. I'm going to back up there for 1 second. So we're going to start with this first statement, and this is from what's called evidence category A. And just for a brief background, this means that if something qualifies as an evidence category of A, it means there's overwhelming evidence from research, which includes not only observational studies, but also controlled trials. And there's a consistent pattern of finding that says substantial data supports this statement. So when we see something like evidence category A, this says there's a wealth of research that agrees that this is as true as we can think it is. And this says that healthy older adults are able to engage in acute or in the moment aerobic or resistance training exercise and experience positive adaptations or positive benefits to training. So again, this comes from one of the most preeminent organizations in the world, saying that healthy older adults can benefit from taking part in physical activity. Not only that, another evidence statement, again, based on research, and as you can see, this is evidence level A and B, meaning that, again, there's very strong evidence to support these statements from numerous studies. Regular physical activity reduces the risk of developing a large number of chronic diseases and is also valuable in the treatment of numerous disease. So the reason I wanted to start with these statements is because this really shows that not only can we, again, if we're currently in the absence of disease, not only can exercise help maintain that, but if you do have any chronic conditions, there's a lot of benefit for exercising to prevent any further. And in addition to that, it can be a very good way to help support a chronic condition and reduce any sort of symptoms you may have. So again, these are strong evidence statements, and it really just highlights that what we're doing today, there's a lot of evidence to show that this is something that can be done. We're not asking the impossible. There's tons of research that shows this can really help. So again, I wanted to start with that. I just definitely want to acknowledge that there are typical standardized tests that we do in the exercise world that can be done with an exercise physiologist or say a personal trainer who is qualified in these matters. And there's decades of data that support these standardized tests. And these standardized tests can include measurements of balance, flexibility, strength, aerobic capacity. And not only that, we know that when we measure certain of these values, and typically a lot of the research focuses specifically on aerobic fitness, so again, your ability to perform cardiovascular activity and strength, we can actually make a very, very strong correlation with someone's score in these tests and an estimate of their health risk based on that score. And again, I'm going to just present a couple tables that support these statements. Again, I do want to mention that what we're reporting is from standardized tests that would be done in a fitness setting. The challenges that we're going to present today, of course, I don't want to make you have to go and see a professional exercise staff to test these qualities. So I'm going to show you the standardized ones first that we do in research, and then I'm going to give you ones that you can kind of try at home and simulate these to the best of your ability, but without needing special equipment, without having to, again, go and see a trainer to do it. This is a very imposing table, but what this is showing is a level of aerobic ability. So this is from one of my favorite studies of all time that shows how aerobic capacity, the ability to, again, do cardiovascular activity is so strongly correlated to health. It's really the #1 correlate we have. This table is broken into men and women for different age groups. And what they have is they have 5 different columns that essentially say when we perform an aerobic test on individuals, they get a score based on how well they do. And we have scores that show for low, below average, above average, high, and elite. When we look at this data, we take for each individual in all these categories, and then we take a look at their health risks. So we measure, we test, we follow them for a number of years, and then when we see them again after a number of years, we say, okay, were there any concerns with individuals? And then we say, okay, with all these groups, who had the lowest chance of mortality, who had the lowest chance of developing cardiovascular disease? When we do that, what we find is that individuals who have higher aerobic capacity quite clearly have a much higher chance of not only survival, but a low risk of developing chronic health issues. The #1 takeaway from this 2 slides is that it supports the idea that we can improve and reduce our health risk with exercise. You can see just if we go from being in the bottom category of aerobic fitness, just by improving into the next category. So still slightly below average, but we're not in the bottom anymore. There is a huge increase in positive adaptations and a decrease in risk. And you can see as your fitness gets higher and higher, you still get decreased risk, but there's a huge jump just from being inactive to becoming a little bit more active. And again, this is one of my proverbial, a picture says 1,000 words, because this data comes from a study of 122,000 people. So it's tons and tons of people and data they collected to come up with this. In addition to aerobic capacity, we know that grip strength is a huge indicator of health risk. Again, there's a very, very strong correlation with the higher measure someone scores on a grip strength test, which requires a special tool called a hand dynamometer that we use in the fitness industry. Just by looking at grip strength and measuring that, again, we see that the individuals with the highest scores tend to be at the lowest risk for health issues. They're less likely to develop health issues. This tells us that there's a very strong correlation with health and grip. And I've just kind of taken a picture from a study here that says that this is, as the title says, an indispensable biomarker. This is something that we want to be measuring in everybody and tracking, because if grip strength goes down, it can be an indicator that we want to, again, maybe a sign that we want to look further into things. So again, when we look at those values, we know there's a strong correlation, and we know that risk reduces quite clearly in a statistical matter when we become better at this. And again, this looks like an imposing picture, but what I want to show here is this top bar, just section A here. What we're looking at is risk of what we call all-cause mortality. So this could be death from any reason. This study here, what it's looking at is what LMS stands for, low muscle strength. And what we find here is that we put a control group of individuals who were at least average in grip strength. So this control group means you were average. And for individuals who scored below average, they were actually at a much higher risk of having all-cause mortality within the given time frame. And again, I apologize, this study, I can't remember the exact time frame. I think it was 7 years. It's from Lee et al. 2018, but it was almost 4,500 participants, 50 years and older, where they did these measures, tracked them for a number of years and came back. And you can see that it just shows that grip strength is such a strong indication of health risk that it's something that we want to be measuring all the time in everyone, not just older adults, but everyone. I wanted to highlight those specifically because, again, that aerobic capacity and that strength, which I just kind of showed, these are very strongly correlated with health. All these other qualities help support that, right? If we are limited in range of motion, if we're limited in our ability to coordinate and balance, we can't move very well, right? If we can't move very well, it's going to be very hard to go do things that help improve aerobic capacity, that help improve strength. And that's kind of just bringing it back to all of these different types of qualities go together. And it's so important that we look at all of them, we acknowledge all of them, and that we do things that support all of them. All right, so the concept is improvement in all these facets can work together cohesively to keep you moving well, staying healthy, and again, thriving. We want well-rounded fitness, I guess is a nice summary of that. So that's just a brief background on, again, evidence supporting why these are beneficial, why we want to measure them, the importance, the correlation with health risk. And that data brings us to, again, identifying 7 different challenges today that are going to test different qualities here. So again, the webinar I'm presenting today, we're going to outline challenges that include one or more of these qualities, okay? I mentioned earlier, but it's worth it to reiterate, the challenges that I'm presenting shortly, these 7 challenges, these are not standardized tests in the clinical sense. I didn't want to present those because we know grip strength, there's a specific clinical test. We know aerobic capacity, there's a strict clinical measurement, but you need specialized equipment to do those things. So the goal today is we want to simulate these abilities in ways that you can try at home without the need to buy equipment or without the need to go pay for a session to measure these. I don't want to say those aren't helpful. I think it is important to measure, but again, I wanted to keep things more ease at home that you could do and kind of test yourself or with someone around you. Most of the challenges that I'm presenting today were with kind of 60 or 60 years and above was kind of the target. So a lot of the challenges require at least above average fitness for a 60-year-old. So if you recall from some of those tables where we had data from different age groups, data from different genders, anytime I chose a test, I related it as best I could to standardized data, and the challenge presents something that would be above average for that age group. So again, so for today, if anyone is in the 60 to 69 category, these challenges typically would require having at least an above average level of fitness in order to complete. And if you're 70 plus, getting to or maintaining these targets would be extremely impressive. And again, as I put in that last bullet point, where appropriate, I compared all the challenges presented to normative data. So nothing is out of this world crazy. I did not put a challenge today that would have someone need to be in the top 0.1% of their age group. Again, typically, if you can do these, it means that you're in the upper half of physical fitness for your given age cohort. And again, that's a goal we want to keep. We want to stay above average and thrive. As I said, I keep coming back to that word, but we want to thrive as long as we can. And we want to challenge ourselves to be the best we can be to maintain this, because if we know exercise is so helpful to healthy aging and can do so many good things for us, and we want to make sure that we maintain that ability as long as we can. Little bullet point I snuck in there too. For each of the 7 challenges, what we did is we've created a level 2 where it's a little bit of an even greater challenge. So kind of level 1 would be the target that you want to try to reach, and level 2 is even a little bit more demanding. So now getting even closer to kind of the quite above average or really upper end for an age cohort. So if you are looking at these challenges, I would definitely recommend starting with the level 1 challenge. And if you're able to pass it, you're feeling confident, you can try the level 2 challenge. And of course, whenever we are kind of testing, whether it is in a clinical setting or it's just yourself trying these challenges at home, right? I just want to repeat that some of these may not be for everybody. Hopefully I've highlighted that the challenges do represent an above average level of fitness for many individuals, 60 plus. These challenges may not be appropriate if you know you have existing chronic conditions, if you have existing musculoskeletal concerns, so you have some sort of bone, joint, muscle concern that prevents you from doing a certain movement. Again, if you know that and you look at one of these challenges and you think, ooh, I don't know if I could do that because of this issue that I have, then again, we want to recognize that there may be other appropriate ways to measure and challenge you. But again, just know that if you are dealing with some chronic issue, some of these challenges may not be appropriate. And if you're newer to fitness, if you don't have much of an exercise background, it may be unrealistic to expect that you are able to do some of these above average challenges right away. And the Wellness Institute, we do have other webinars and information on exercise for basic health benefits or introduction to basic exercises for beginners and kind of a starting point. And if you're someone who is, again, a little bit newer to fitness, I would recommend maybe take a look at those, spend some time learning the basics, build up a little bit of capacity, and then try some of these challenges. So again, you just kind of have to know yourself and what's appropriate here. And really, when it comes down to it, if you're unsure, you want to test something on your own, you're not sure if it's going to be safe for you, have someone do it with you. That's always going to be a number one thing, is safety first. Again, I wanted to make these challenges something you could do at home, but you also want to know your limits and be smart, and don't do anything that would put yourself in any sort of concern. That would be the opposite of what we want to do here, right? All right. So let's get to it. I see, I imagine that a lot of people are saying, let's just get to the challenges and stop talking. So our first challenge, which again, I think is extremely important, it's called getting up and down off the floor. Might sound simple, but we added some layers to it. In order to get up and down off the floor, we need a combination of many different qualities that I've listed. So we need to have good range of motion and flexibility in order to bend down and get down to the floor. We need the strength in the legs and or arms to push ourselves up, to stand up. We need to coordinate multiple joints of the body to do it. It requires a lot. So this first measurement is taking a look at a combination, again, of many of these qualities and putting them together in one test. It's an extremely important skill to maintain for safety concerns. Especially if you're someone who lives alone, if a fall occurs and we're unable to get up, that's a really big concern. So I don't say this lightly when I put this number 1 for a reason, because being able to get up and down off the floor on your own is one of the skills you want to try to maintain for as long as you can. So I put a level 1 here and a level 2. So the level 1 is as if you need no help from an external object. So this would say like not using a chair, for example, or not using like a couch to help stand up. And then level 2 is I kind of put using 1 point of contact or less each on the way down and on the way up. And just before I show some videos here, this is actually, this test came out of a study. It's out of Brazil. It was made waves many, many years ago. I think it was 2014 when it first came out. But the study supported this test as a combination of many different qualities. And what they found is that the better able someone was to get up off the floor, so the less help you need or the less limbs that you need to come up and down, again, the more decreased risk they had of any health issues. So if you need external assistance to get up, or you need to go from hands to knees and then down and back up, versus someone who is able to just plop right down and stand back up with no help or not having to use their hands or knees on the way up or down, there was a difference in what the researchers measured. And I should clarify when I say maybe get up and down off the floor, we're talking from standing to sitting down on our butt and coming back up. And for all these challenges, I'm just going to show a couple videos. We highlighted some of our Wellness Institute members who are 60 plus. So in no particular order, I want to publicly thank Bill, Nicole, Randy, Erica, Lorraine, Jack, and Bill, who all contributed to these videos. So we're going to start here. So this is just an example of getting up and down off the floor. So you can see that she uses her knees to sit and then uses her hands and knees to come back up. But again, no external object needed to help. And I'm going to go to the next one. And you can see here, a little bit easier for this gentleman. He doesn't need the knees. He can go straight from one hand up. So again, both of those would kind of qualify as a level 2 in our books. If either of them needed to use that bench or a chair, again, that would be the level 1 challenge. And if you even wanted to go further, maybe a little bit of a bonus tip for you, we would say that the less hands or knees you need to go down would be an even better score. So a level, maybe we could even call Randy here a level 3 in the fact that he didn't need to use his knees on the way up. He was able to go straight from using just one hand to his feet and back up. So again, maybe a little bit of a bonus challenge, but one more time, level 1 was with no assistance from an external object. Level 2 was using 1 pointer contact or less in each direction. So yeah, that's challenge number 1. And again, something that we really value maintaining as long as we can. Whoops, where are we? There we go. Sorry about that. So challenge number 2 is called squat to your heels, as low as you can. This quality is looking at lower body flexibility of the hips, knees, and ankles. So it's the ability to get our hips down into a squat position. So getting the hips as close to the heels as you can. So trying to get the hip level below the knee level, and if you can, even right down to the ankles. And again, another level 1 and level 2 challenge. I should add too that I didn't include it here, but you could absolutely make the argument for including lower body strength in this challenge as well, because you need to stand back up. So the level 1 challenge is not holding any weight, you're just using your own body weight. You want to get the hips and squat down. Oh, that's a typo there. Get the hips and squat down until the hips get as close as possible to the back of the shins or the ankles. And at a minimum, you'd want to try to get the hip below the knee level. So where your thigh bone would be parallel or lower to the floor. The level 2 challenge can be done in 2 different ways, and again, would start to challenge the strength even more. Level 2 is with a 15-pound like a kettlebell or a dumbbell or any sort of weight really, but holding a 15-pound weight, do the same challenge. So squat as low as you can and stand back up holding 15 pounds. Or without any external resistance, or sorry, without any external object or weight, just with body weight, you squat as low as you can, and then you hold that for 30 seconds. So I don't think I need to show the whole 30-second video here. We're just going to see a couple of our members, they're trying to get their hips as low as they can and coming back up. So they, oops, that would be, again, that level 1, you saw that there, and I'm going to advance. And again, I won't play the whole 30 seconds, but I can tell you that he was able to do it. We'll kind of watch him hold it for quite a while here, but again, trying to get that thigh as parallel to the floor as we can, and just holding that position. So you can see the hips, the knees, the ankles need a lot of range of motion and flexibility in those muscles and joints. The leg strength to stand back up after and to hold it, really challenging. You can see he's starting to shake a little bit here actually. So again, this is a really good job. I'm gonna pause it. Actually, you know what? I'll let it play out. We'll prove that he did the 30 seconds there. There you go. And you can see it's a challenge, but he did it. So that was awesome. So that was number 2. And again, that was kind of squat as low as you can and come back up, or hold a weight and of 15 pounds, or hold for 30 seconds at the bottom and come back up. And I'll do a summary of these at the end as a reminder for everybody if you miss them. And as Karen mentioned, we're going to have this webinar recorded as well. So if you're keeping track at home, don't worry, the resource will be there for you to follow later. The next one is going to be balancing on one leg. And of course, this is going to target balance and hip and core control, which is really needed to help in that matter as well. For this one, we have a level 1 and a level 2, of course, as I mentioned. Our level 1 is a static. So 30 seconds as a target on each leg. So this would be where you're standing. You're just going to lift one foot slightly off the ground. The leg that's in the air, you just want your foot to kind of hover near the ankle of the stance leg, the one that's on the ground, and you want to try to hold for 30 seconds. Again, like I said, we have lots of data on balance that comes from the Canadian Society of Exercise Physiology and different expectations in terms of seconds to hold this test for different age groups. And again, holding for 30 definitely correlates with someone above average for 60 plus, according to the Canadian Society of Exercise Physiology standards. So that's why I chose the 30 seconds. And the level 2 is more of a dynamic one. So if you kind of have a curb or a 2x4, it's being able to walk for 20 feet heel to toe on that 2x4 without falling off. So for this one, I have videos of the level 1 and the level 2, which we wanted to highlight here. So this is Jack. I'm going to turn the sound off. Sorry about that. So this is Jack holding that for as long as he can. And this is pretty impressive, folks. This balance here, he's shuffling a little bit, but he did a pretty good job trying to get 10 seconds. And she's going strong there. You can see the smile on her face. And then I had both of these individuals, our members here, try the 2x4. So I'm just going to, again, turn the sound off when I play so I can talk over. But so this is not quite 20 feet. We just had a 2x4 at the wellness to try. And you can see this is a little bit more demanding, right? Having to elevate and walk on there is a little bit tougher. But if we watch Jack come back here, he's going to nail this one on the way back. He does that whole thing without falling. Look at that heel to toe, a little bit tough, but he made it the whole way. And then again, we're walking right. Oh, it's almost made it. So again, you can have a 2x4 if you have at home. If you want to try on a curb or something, just the idea, I'm going to bring it back, just the idea of having to elevate and be off of flat ground. If you've never tried balancing on something like this in a long time, on a 2x4, or again, on like a curb or something like that, as soon as your feet are not on flat ground, it becomes a little bit tougher because you're aware if your foot is kind of hanging off, and that'll really challenge the balance. So again, the static is 30 seconds on one leg, each leg ideally. And then the dynamic, the level 2 challenge is being able to control balance during movement. And maybe again, just to confirm, I don't think I actually mentioned the terms, but static of course means not moving. So that's why we're just holding. And dynamic always means balance while moving. So that's the walk on the curb, is we're trying to balance while we're moving. Oh, and there we go. So again, that was the first 3 challenges. Our challenge number 4 is lifting. So this one, our target quality, we actually have an A and B here. So the target quality for this challenge is our ability to have lower and upper body strength. Hopefully, based on the first section of this PowerPoint, you kind of recognize how I went over how we know grip is very, very strongly correlated with health and again, trying to maintain the absence of disease. So we definitely wanted to include some sort of lifting and strength challenge that you can do at home. So here's level 1, level 2. Again, these are something that you can do at home if you have weights. If you don't have the ability to measure, you may know somebody with weights you can try, right? But the challenge here for level 1 is being able to bend down from the floor and pick up to waist level, anywhere from 50 pounds or up to half body weight. When it comes to specific numbers of weights, of course, it's not fair if different people weigh different things. So that's why I included the half body weight for this one. So 50 pounds up to half body weight from the floor, and then 30 pounds overhead. So again, these are definitely some tough ones. They require not only strength, but range of motion. So the ability to bend down and pick something up for the lower body, or the ability to, again, get the arms safely overhead and press up. So having good upper chest, shoulder, arm range of motion, that's all important for these. And the level 1 is just doing those once. Level 2 is if you can do each of those for 5 repetitions. And again, if you can do something for 5 repetitions, it suggests that you could do more for even 1 repetition. So this is one, again, I just want to confirm the disclaimer. If you haven't lifted something this heavy in a little while, you may want to practice with a lower weight, get accustomed to the movement before challenging yourself, build up appropriately. Again, especially if it's something you haven't done in a while. You don't just want to go lift something 3 times as heavy as you've done in the last 10 years, right? You want to take your time and build up appropriately. So reminder that these tests do represent some above average challenges, is then you want, if you're not currently regularly active, you want to get there first before trying them. But we're going to just turn the sound off again here. So this is a 50-pound kettlebell here, and you can see performing a really, really well done deadlift exercise, head above hips, hips above knees in that bottom position, nice and strong, standing back up. Easy 5 repetitions there. And the overhead press is a little bit harder, but here's Nicole, and Nicole is ridiculously strong. And look at her do 30 pounds overhead for 5 repetitions. Nice. Beautiful, good, awesome. So again, those are a couple challenges. I'm gonna go back one more time just so you can see if you're writing down at home. 50 pounds to half body weight from floor to waist level, 30 pounds overhead for 1 repetition would be the level 1, and the level 2 for 5 repetitions. And again, disclaimer, don't try these tests if you haven't lifted that in a long time, right? My recommendation would definitely be take a lighter weight, always underestimate what you think you can do, try it for 5 times, right? If it's really easy, add 5 pounds, try it again, right? Build up slowly, especially if you haven't done something like this in a long time. So that was my one more disclaimer there. In addition to lifting, another thing that humans do a lot of is carrying. The target quality here is grip strength. So this kind of correlates really well with the grip strength test there, as well as full body strength. If you're walking with any sort of load, you have to be able to stay nice and tall. You have to be able to hold the weight appropriately, whichever way you're doing it, right? You have to be able to, it's adding load to your body weight, so you have to be able to support yourself while walking. There's always a phase in walking where one leg is in the air, so it challenges the balance, right? There's a lot of things that are being measured with this carrying. And I just made a note here, again, the simple grip strength test is very strongly correlated with health. So the manner in which that I've presented this challenge is holding weights, so whether they be dumbbells or kettlebells or something like that in each hand. And the level 1 is a 30-pound carry, so it's 15 pounds in each hand for 30 seconds. So the goal is just to kind of walk. You don't have to rush. It's just kind of a nice, easy walk, standing tall, grab a 15-pound weight in each hand, and try to do it for 30 seconds before your grip gives out. So that would be kind of almost like approximately maybe a short block on a street. If you think of it that way, 30 seconds, that would be kind of a good reasonable challenge. There's actually no level 2 because level 2 goes with the next challenge. I kind of combined a couple things, but that's the level 1 there. And again, if we just do a quick walk here with Bill, we got 15 pounds in each hand. And again, just staying nice and tall, weight in each hand. You're having to control, you're adding load to your body. So it's more work for the legs to do because you have 30 extra pounds of weight you have to support. It challenges the grip to maintain that the whole time. It challenges kind of your torso to stay tall and not have the weight drag you down. It's a really nice, simple challenge that you can do. So that's the carry challenge, 30 pounds, 15 pounds in each hand for about 30 seconds. And I almost forgot, I highlighted a few other members as well. There we go. Awesome. So again, 15 pounds in each hand. Yeah, I don't think I need to belabor that one. Not that I don't want to show our wonderful members doing these challenges, but I want to show the next one here. So the next one is called climb. So climb is a really nice way to challenge aerobic capacity. I wanted to highlight this here first. So this climbing is measuring aerobic capacity and leg strength. We need leg strength to climb stairs. Aerobic capacity is what we were talking about, one of the strongest correlates to health. VO2 max, this is just a term that we use in the exercise world that refers to, again, aerobic capacity. And really what that means is how much work you can do before you tire. So the bigger the number is better. And this chart, I really love this chart. This is adapted by a PhD individual. You can kind of see on the bottom there, this is the data are taken from the ACSM guidelines. What this shows is that we have this VO2 max or aerobic capacity on the left-hand side here. And again, the bigger the number, that means the better you are, the lower risk of health disease. And what we have kind of at these dotted lines are just some examples of how much capacity you need in order to do a task. So for example, if we wanted to climb stairs briskly or walk 3 miles an hour uphill, so about a 10% grade, or climb stairs, which is kind of the challenge here, we need to be at a certain VO2 max level. And again, this score would be determined from a test, but if you can briskly climb a set of stairs, you can be confident that your score is at a minimum this level. If you're going to carry a heavy object upstairs, you need to be a little bit higher. Now, the example they use is, it's hard to see there, but 75 pounds. But if you want to be able to carry something heavy upstairs or up a set of stairs, you need to have an even higher capacity at a minimum. And what I love about this visual is that it shows is that if these are some skills that you want to maintain for as long as possible, if when we're young, we have a lower fitness level, we're not going to be able to do these even when we're at 55 years old. If we have a high fitness level, even with expected decline with age, we can still expect to be able to briskly climb stairs at 75. So this is showing kind of if someone at 35 doesn't really do much activity, isn't very active, if they don't train and exercise appropriately, they're going to find that their age-related decline will just kind of go down. If they work to improve their fitness and get their fitness to a higher level, even with age-related decline, which unfortunately is inevitable, we can still do things at a very high level, even into older age. So this is, again, hopefully that description makes sense. That's why I love this chart, because it shows age expected decline for a low, an average, and a very above average level of fitness. And it shows that if you want to do these tasks, you need to be at a certain fitness level. So to go along with that, level 1 is being able to climb 2 to 3 sets of stairs briskly, no hands on the railing, so not using hand support. So that was the level 1. And you can see that if you're able to do that, it suggests that your aerobic capacity is a minimum around kind of like a 32-ish, again, which for someone 60 plus would put them above average. And again, if you're 70 plus, even better. And the level 2 would be adding load to it. So going 10 to 15 pounds in each hand. So getting more towards the carrying the heavy object as we do it. Of course, if you add load to your body, you have to push with your leg strength more upstairs, more body weight, it's going to be tougher, right? So again, you can see that these levels correlate with these tasks and the ability to have a certain amount of capacity. And we're going to highlight, again, one of our members here going up and down. And I don't know if we're going to see in the video, I almost want to say he had 20 pounds in his hand because he's just really strong. But you can see him, that this challenge here, not easy, but again, suggests a high, yeah, he does have 20 pounds, there you go, suggests a high level of capacity. And again, shows that the stronger we can do that, if we're able to do that, much lower risk of health issues. And last but not least, hang from a bar. This is one of the most challenging ones, and it's why I put this at the end. So hang from a bar, that means that we need to be able to effectively get the arms overhead. We need the upper body flexibility and mobility and range of motion. We need really good grip to hang onto the bar. We need good upper body strength in order to support and hold that position. Again, this is one of the most challenging ones, which is why I saved it for last. I put level 1 as just a momentary brief hold. So consider even just like a 1 second. If you kind of get your hands on the bar, but you have your feet on some sort of object, you take the object out from under your feet. Can you even do a 1 Mississippi hold before you drop down? If you can, it suggests that you have really good upper body, again, range of motion, grip, and upper body strength. Really good is a 10-second hold if you can do before dropping. So this one depends on a lot of factors. Of course, body weight is going to play a factor here. Someone who weighs 150 pounds is going to have an easier time than someone who weighs 200 pounds because they're holding less weight, right? But really, if you can do this, even for level 1 and especially level 2, we really can say with quite certainty, you got no concerns with upper body range of motion, grip, upper body strength. You're doing really well if you can pass these tests. And again, disclaimer, if you haven't done this in a long time, don't test it on your own. Be safe, maybe build up to it, right? Have somebody, a professional with you if you want to try, right? Make sure you take care of all those safety measures before you challenge it. And this is Nicole. And again, I already mentioned Nicole. You saw her press overhead before. Nicole is pretty darn strong, and she makes 10 seconds of a hold look ridiculously easy on this one. It's a great job by her. Perfect. So those are our 7 challenges. And I added a bonus one just for fun. And again, all the usual disclaimers, but a bonus one is being able to move explosively. So it's one thing to express strength in a slow manner. So pressing overhead, standing up with a weight, climbing stairs with a weight. Power and explosiveness is a slightly different quality. It is strength with the added dimension of speed. So it's not only are you trying to be strong, you're trying to be strong very quickly. And the ability to express strength quickly is something that decreases the most quickly in aging. It's something that deteriorates at a faster rate. And there's a super big need to maintain this quality. If you imagine that you are trip over something and you're about to fall, your toe hits a curb or something, you need to be able to move your legs fast to catch yourself, plant the other leg, and catch yourself to prevent a fall. And again, there are a lot of risks with falling in older age. And again, we know that research tells us that this quality, without getting too deep into anatomy, we have a couple different types of muscle fibers, and these fibers are the ones that help us move very quickly and explosively, are the ones that deteriorate quickest with age when we don't train them. So we always want to do something that helps maintain and train this quality, because again, it is so huge in preventing falls. Again, this is a bonus, but it doesn't mean that it's not as important. Being able to, again, move quickly is a big part of that. So I just added a very kind of simple level 1 is if you can kind of just jump up and land in one place. And again, you're just jumping up and down, try to land just in the same spot that you jumped from. It's the ability to kind of get in the air and land. Level 2 is just jumping up on a 6-inch platform. So again, you can jump up onto something and again, land in a safe manner. Unfortunately, my videos malfunctioned, so I don't have videos on this one. I apologize for that. I promise some of the members you saw there could definitely do this, but unfortunately I had a video malfunction and we couldn't upload them. But again, this is a bonus challenge. Again, it expresses that other quality of explosiveness. So we want you to take the challenge. I think I'm coming perfect on time here to leave 10 minutes for any questions that come in. So just kind of to wrap up, reminder, no matter your age, there is oodles, decades of research that says you can increase your ability in all of these fitness qualities. It is never too late to get started. It's never too late to continue, right? What I've presented here are, again, challenges that are not easy, and I admit that. Again, these are representing above average levels, but the goal for this webinar is that we want to thrive. We don't want to just age, we want to age as well as we can. The more activities that we're able to take part in, the more likely we are to be active. And exercise maybe, and physical activity is probably the #1 lever you can pull to help improve your health. And if we can improve and maintain our capacity in all these different facets that we've presented today, and you can kind of really get that all-encompassing increase in all these qualities, it's just going to do so many good things for you. So yeah, I could get on my soapbox a little bit more. Hopefully you enjoyed the presentation and are looking forward to doing the challenges today. Again, it's a topic I'm really passionate about. I don't want to even kid anybody that I know I'm only 33, but my goal is I want to do these challenges as long as I can. I'm not just a 33-year-old here saying, hey, go do this. Again, you saw that it's possible. And our members there, I don't want to give away anyone's age in case they don't want me to, but the videos you saw from our Wellness Institute members, they ranged from as low as 62 up to 92. So these things are possible at any age. And again, I mentioned my goals are to maximize health span, and I want to do this just as much as anybody. So again, I hope you kind of liked the presentation today. Karen is going to jump back on the line because Karen was watching the chat box with some questions and answers. Karen, I'm going to let you start, but just a reminder, we did have that one come in earlier, so I can start with that one maybe, or if you have anything else, your call.
Sure, maybe I'll interject first, and then you can go to your question.
Let's do it.
Thanks, Wes, for all the information. Definitely some great information that we can all aspire to doing better. We can always improve,
exactly.
Everybody.
Exactly.
So, and the message of it's never too late to start. So I think that's important. One of the first questions that came in is, I am very sedentary and feeling overwhelmed with all this information. Where do I start?
That's a really good question. So yeah, sometimes it can be overwhelming because, again, what do I do? And I think if I can answer that, it would be A, always make sure that it's safe to exercise. So if you're currently not exercising and you're looking to start an exercise program, it can be helpful just to talk with your doctor or let them know and ensure that there's not going to be any issues that come with that. At the risk of self-promotion, the Wellness Institute is a great place. We have our medical fitness facility. We have many older adults. We partner with Active Aging in Manitoba. You can definitely come down and we can assist you, and you can kind of take a look to see what we offer here, or visit our website. When in doubt, any little bit helps. And if even just incorporating 5 minutes of walking a day. Walking is one of the most simple, lowest financial cost, can do it anywhere type of thing. Aerobic capacity, again, that is one of the strongest correlates with health that we know of. And just by dedicating time out of your day, start with 5 minutes and, add maybe a few minutes a day. Just by going from that sedentary to even a little bit of activity every day, you can really reduce your risk, and that creates some momentum, and then we can kind of move forward from there. But if I were you, who's kind of asking the question, yeah, take 5 to 10 minutes out of your day, dedicate it to starting a walking routine, and that would be probably the best thing you could do at the moment for yourself, and then go from there.
Thanks, Wes. I have another question here. How can I improve hand strength?
Really good question. So grip strength can improve in a number of ways. A lot of it is done with doing things that challenge your grip. And I hope that doesn't sound obvious, but you saw some exercises presented in the video today. So for example, the lifting up off the ground, it's called a deadlift exercise, where our member was kind of lifting the weight up and down. Having to hold the weight while you're doing that is a challenge. The carrying exercise, where you're having to walk with weights in your hand, that's challenging your grip. Those are two very, very, very good ways to start. Anything that forces you to kind of hold something while moving is going to be really helpful. And I would probably start with those two. Those are two what I would call really big bang for your buck type of movements. I know they're presented as tests or challenges, but they're exercises in their own right. Again, start appropriate. You may want to start with a little bit lighter, maybe kind of like a couple pounds up to 5 pounds in each hand, or even just 5 or 10 pounds on that lift, right? But as your strength increases and you progressively add a little bit more, you keep challenging the grip. So yeah, those are not only challenges, but helpful exercises in their own right that would definitely go a long way to improving that.
Thanks, Wes. I should note here that we are recording this, and you all will be receiving a recording of this webinar. So you can go back and look at the challenges that Wes presented and what the challenges, what sort of area of your fitness they were challenging, whether it be coordination or lower body strength or what. So you can go back and listen to it again or share it with others. Wes, I'll let you answer the question that you were given in advance now.
Yeah, exactly. So we had a question come in, and I really like this question. It was, I'm going to paraphrase. I don't have the exact question in front of me, but I wrote down kind of just, again, the main points of it. And the question was, if you had 3 to 4 exercises, whether they be stretches, strength, what have you, 3 to 4 exercises for functional living to the best that you can, that are highly recommended to do either daily or weekly, what would they be? In essence, what are the biggest bang for your buck things that you can do? And I thought this was a really good question. It can be hard to answer this based on all those qualities, but I wanted to kind of say 3 things that encompass, again, a lot of these qualities together that would go together. So number 1 would be walk. That one's daily. I always like to say, if I had a magic wand and I could get everybody to do 20 to 30 minutes minimum of just an easy, brisk walk every day, man, that would do a lot of good things for a lot of people. So walk is number 1. I would want to do that deadlift from the ground with an appropriate weight. And again, the Wellness Institute would have resources on kind of guidelines for strength training. I think that's kind of beyond maybe what we're here for today, but we do have other webinars or resources that talk about guidelines for doing strength training. But that lift off the ground, if I could do one strength exercise, it would be that one, because it's really good for coordination, it's good for balance, it's good for strength. It works a lot of muscles that tend to get not used so much in if you're sedentary or not so active. So I would walk. I would do one strength exercise like a deadlift a couple times a week. If I had to give like my one for stretching, it would be something that stretches the inside of the thigh. So they can see me on camera, right, Karen? Yeah, perfect. So hopefully I can do this. So if I'm in a chair, I turn to the side, I drop my knee down below the hip. So for example, I'm trying to get where my head, shoulder, hip, and knee are in a straight line. As my leg comes back, I'm getting a nice stretch through the front of the hip. This area tends to get tight from people when we sit a lot in our day. Whenever we're sit and here, we're scrunched up. And if we don't actively try to stretch out that area, we can stay really tight in the hips and limit our ability to use the biggest muscles of our body appropriately. So honestly, 3 best things for living that I would do not only daily, but weekly as well: walk, stretch the hips, do a deadlift exercise. That's hitting a lot of those categories and it's going to do wonders for you. And that would be my 3 big things.
Thanks, Wes. I think we're run out of time here, but you'll see on this slide in front of you, you have both Active Aging in Manitoba's website and Wellness Institute. AIM, we're almost ready to launch a new website, so it will be new and improved, but we still have information on that website you can check out, and Wellness has a lot of information there too. Both of us have archived webinars that you can go and check out and listen to as well if you're interested, so check it out regularly. Again, you'll be receiving a recording today. So I'd like to thank Wes for his time in putting this together. All the models for the videos, that was fantastic, and I was quite surprised to hear the age range. That's fantastic. It just goes to show you're never too late to start, and we hope that this might act as a catalyst for you if you're not as active as you'd like to be, or perhaps get you thinking, if you are currently active, that these are some things you should pay attention to, especially as you get older. All of us should pay attention to it. So I hope you gleaned some good information. Thanks for taking time out of your day. And I think that's a wrap. So thanks for joining us on behalf of Wellness Institute and Active Aging in Manitoba. Take care and have yourself a good day.
Thanks, everyone.